I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music. Our special guest is CEO, the man who runs NAMM, and he's going to let you know why you should be there this year, this January. Every January, the biggest names in music gear descend on Anaheim. They're there to show us their cutting edge equipment. It's an exciting time. And the man steering that massive ship is John Mlynczak. As the president and CEO of NAMM, John is responsible for guiding one of the most influential organizations in the music world, connecting musicians, innovators, educators, and companies that shape how we create music. And the interesting thing is you never know who you're going to run into. As John says in this interview at one point at NAMM, he looked over and he went, "Oh, there's Stevie Wonder." Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to lead the global music industry into the future. How is NAMM adapting to the world driven by technology, social media, and bedroom creators? And what traditions must never be lost when it comes to music? Our special guest, John Mlynczak, on Rock History Music. What's different with NAMM this year than, let's just say, last year?
I mean, this is our 125th anniversary year. So that's one of the biggest, and that's when you go all in and start reflecting about the history and think about the future. It's one of those, like every big birthday, you start thinking about your life a little harder on the milestones than you do when you turn like 32, So the past 125 days have felt a little bit like 125 years for some of our companies. So, obviously there's the point where the NAMM show is like the magic where we come together, we work together, we need it. It's kind of a relief to get together in the same room, so to say.
What is NAMM?
Yeah, the National Association of Music Merchants was founded in 1901, and we are the association that represents everyone who makes, manufactures, and sells musical products. While we're based in, California, we're a member nonprofit membership association registered in New York because that's where it was founded. We have a global membership. Half of our manufacturers are global. The ones in the US all distribute and sell globally. We have 30% of our retail members globally. And, our main goal is to fulfill our mission, which is to strengthen the music products industry and promote the pleasures and benefits of making music. We also operate the NAMM Foundation, a 501c3 charitable foundation that exists to support NAMM's mission. So we have our membership association. We put on the NAMM show because the number one thing we can do for the industry is get the global industry to gather once a year, and that is, now the largest and only global gather of the music products industry. So that's about NAMM, but we exist. Everything that we do is to think about how to make companies and individuals and businesses who are making, manufacturing, selling, distributing, repairing, renting musical products, how to make them stronger, how to make this industry thrive. And every dollar we gain goes into the NAMM Foundation and is reinvested into creating more music makers every single year.
You've called yourself a music nerd and you're a professional trumpet player and you're a good musician. You've been in that pit, but it's interesting the position you have now. Starting from that, becoming a professional, becoming a teacher, working in so many different companies, and here you are leading this huge convention center with the newest products in every modality of music. I mean, do you ever pinch yourself sometimes?
Every day. Oh, every day. Um, yeah, and it is fascinating. And people ask me, and sometimes it's an interesting question like, "Oh, and how did you get this gig?" Or "How did you get this gig?" The emphasis actually sometimes is interesting. I do not take it for granted for 1 second. I don't. And it's one of those things too. One thing you learn as a musician, and I've been like a hungry music nerd. I will proudly wear that on the t-shirt since as long as I can remember. Like literally like how does sound work and how do I make it on any instrument I can put my hands on. But there's a drive there. And there's a drive that's always like perfection doesn't exist, but we shoot for it. Knowing it doesn't exist, that means we can just push harder every single day, no matter how good you might have been yesterday, you got to be better today. And where does that end? It never ends. And that's exciting. That's how music nerds are wired. So you fast forward to today, that's what we should be doing as an association, trying to strengthen this industry. Every single day, we need to wake up and say, how do we make this industry better? What are the threats today? What are the opportunities tomorrow? And by the way, sometimes those are the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, AI. But how do we embrace that? How do we support companies in doing that? And more importantly, like we set the tone, we set the energy. I mean, the NAMM show, but also NAMM's an association, we kind of set the energy for our industry. Like they look to us to kind of like, how's it going? We always have to be positive. We always have to be future focused. We always have to be innovating. And that's, I think what I do today, though it's massive and heavy, and it's the opportunity to just do better every single day is the same as the sixth grade trombone player trying to figure out the chromatic scale.
Just on face value, I think with the AI world and everything that's going on, I would think that's impossible. Because I mean, but you have no choice.
Yeah, it's the future. I mean, we had no choice when the internet came out. We had no choice when the phone book came out. We had no choice when drum machines came out and threatened drum player. I mean, it's one of those things where, innovation, I mean, we're built on innovation. And it's funny though, because like, sometimes we can get threatened by innovation, but at the same time, innovation is what drives us in a huge way as a music products industry. So we just have to keep moving forward. And where we've always been successful is embrace it, move faster, be the first to use that innovation for what's next, get ahead of it, be your own spoiler. And that's what we see a lot of come. That's what we, preach. And that's why we work so hard to make sure the NAMM show is providing a platform and encouraging companies to say, no, like show that new product, get out there, like innovate, break some rules. That's what keeps it exciting.
When was it were you taught that drive to close the file, to open it, and to get it closed?
The real, like, vulnerable, honest answer is because music and a band director saved my life, and I will every single day I want to repay that to the world.
Was it a moment
Really
in
it.
time?
Yeah, it was just like, like growing up as a, typical like family that, didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of education, first kid to go to college in the family, but none of that would have ever happened because of music. Like I wouldn't have been driven to figure out like, oh, I should figure out how like math and English and science work. Like I should care about this stuff. I should, but it was because music, like it just encapsulated me, and I had, success in music. And the first time I could say, oh, I can actually, have confidence because I can do something. And look, I can win an award in music class, or I could make the all county band. And like, just there's like this progression through elementary, middle, and high school that just kind of propelled me, forward. And it's where you realize that like music gives people opportunities that they never thought existed. And then through music, you learn skill sets that make you successful. People say, how do you, all the things I have to do at NAMM, there's like legal and trade show stuff and all stuff. Say, how do you learn that? I said, I learn it. You can learn anything today. Surround yourself by great people. We have lots of folks we work with. Like you can learn anything that you need to learn to be successful, but you can't learn to have a drive and desire to learn. And, unless you, get that from somewhere else. And that's what music gives you. Again, I studied music in college. I never went to college if it wasn't for a music scholarship, and so on and so forth. And that was that drive. And I think for me, because music always was the thing that was my like safe place, my success place, it was like I will fight to the death for this thing called music and endless perfection no matter what. And, at one time in my life, that was being a trumpet player, which was great. One point in my life, that was building products for the music industry. That was great. And now it's, leading NAMM. But the drive hasn't changed.
Why did you go, and why, like, and what was your experience like for that first show?
First NAMM show, after going through a few emotions, I was mad. And I'll tell you why. So here's John, music teacher, gigged all over New Orleans, trumpet player, done live sound, done recording, um, taught music, played in the pit, played in the orchestra, played in the chamber ensemble, played in the club, all of this. And I get my first job in the industry was at PreSonus Audio after teaching, gigging, playing, all the things. I mean, I'd been in every area of music. And they're like, okay, book your flight to LA. You're going to the NAMM show. I said, what's the NAMM show? They're like, oh, bro, no, the typical response. So I get on a plane, direct New Orleans to LAX. I'm sitting back on the plane going to this thing that my company's sending me to 2 weeks after I started. And this guy walks in with the trombone case and a trumpet case in first class and starts trying to jam these instruments up in the overhead, and they wouldn't fit. It was a little bit disturbed. They got it in. I looked over. I'm like, that's Trombone Shorty. I know that guy. Where's he going? That's cool. We're on the same flight. Wow, there must be something in LA, so I know what he was going to. And then I'm walking up, and there's a guy sitting in first class that was really old, this really, really long beard and a cane, and handlers kind of protecting him. It's Dr. John. I'm like, wow, where are all these people going? Because I recognize these heroes, of musician heroes on the plane. I'm like, well, I wonder where they're going. I'm going to this thing called NAMM. Well, of course, we're all going to NAMM because that's like the flight that's going the day before. And I walk in NAMM, and I guess I had been an educator. I had started this job at PreSonus to start an education division. I'm trying to figure out life and going through, I left teaching. What am I doing? All that stuff. I walk in the NAMM show, and I just see like the size and scale, and then I walk around, do the first thing, like pre-sales is great. They're like, walk the floor and figure out this industry. Because they knew sending me to NAMM was gonna, help me help them. So I'm walking the floor and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never once in my life really thought about where all the products, the in-ear monitors I've had molded and used, the iPad software to control my monitor mix, the lights I've rigged, the gear the boxes I've shoved in the freight elevator at 2:30 a.m. loading out, and all the instruments I've taught and all the reeds my kids have bought, all this stuff. I never knew where this came from. Wait a minute, like people actually have to make this stuff and it's nuanced and specialized. And then I'm walking around, I'm like, this industry is so foreign to me. How did I not know this existed? And then I walk around all the booths and I'm like, and I'm having this moment of like, it's so foreign from education. Like I was a teacher, I don't know this world. And I'm going around to every booth, and you know what I saw? Product demos. Every single booth, someone's sitting there teaching people how to make music and nuances of their product. And I'm like, wait a minute. Not only did I not know it existed, this is actually an education conference. This is actually how we learn and get better. Like, what's going on? I'm like, how? And I was so mad that I didn't know this world existed. And then on top of that, I kind of bumped into this, like, I was really into music advocacy for obvious reasons. And I found some NAMM Foundation sessions happening at the NAMM show. And I'm like, wait a minute, all this exists to give back and advocate for more music makers? Like, now you're just messing with me. Like, this is just stupid. Like, you had me at like the first. So I was really mad through all the emotions that through my experiences, having at that point 2 music degrees and being involved in so many different aspects of playing, performing, teaching music, multiple genres, that I didn't know this existed. And I'm like, there is a disconnect that the every musician and every educator does not know this world exists. And there was a moment that I'm like, I'm going to go all in with these NAMM Foundation Support Music Coalition. I'm going to lead my staff. Started getting really fired up and working with NAMM and other organizations. And how do we bridge this? And that lit something on me. Now, did I know that that fire was going to turn into me being here? Never. But it started at my first NAMM show.
Someone said that about NAMM. He says, you don't know what you don't know until you walk into that building
Mm.
and you see what you see and you network. And I mean, networking alone is insane to go in there and to like, look what happened on the plane for you.
I've always said, like, I remember, so subsequent years, now I'm like, going to NAMM every year. And, like every other company, we're doing like 6 months out, we're pre-planning, we're figuring out what our promos are, our new product launches, all that stuff. And then you start the meetings, hey, build out your meeting schedule, you look at the NAMM session schedule, you start making your NAMM plan. And then you get there, and like every good plan, about half of it goes to plan, and half of it is, oh, you got to meet so and so or this thing or so and so, and all of a sudden there's this like incredible opportunity. Then you leave, and you're pretty much like your heart's racing and your mind is running until about May. Uh, until you can finally the stack of business cards, but the energy and the excitement and the drive. You go to NAMM with, opportunities exist, and you leave with opportunities you didn't know exist unless
Mhm.
you came. And that is so true. It's so true for me, and it's so true for everyone. And I think my personal experiences through just what I was able to do with the amazing companies I had the opportunity to work with, Hal Leonard, Presonus, etc., but also just personal growth. Like I know what NAMM can do for a company and an individual. And so like now that I'm like in, running it, I'm like, okay, how do we pour gasoline on this? Like what can we do as an organization? How can we use data and AI and modern tools to like accelerate the magic?
Any musician listening right now, why should they go? How's their life going to change after they go to NAMM?
Artists and musicians are one of the key audiences that make NAMM magical. Because first of all, there's nowhere else where you can absolute every product you use as a musician, whether it's a pedal, even an accessory, like the companies want desperately want. I'll even say need. They're there investing because they want to make their products better for you as a musician. So if you want to have like direct access to everyone who makes your products, but not just, and not I'm not doing mine, the person who sells it to you or the person that teaches it to you, but the person that's trying to figure out how to make it perfect for what your needs. Like you can talk to companies about, hey, I use it for this, but I wish it would do this, and sometimes it does that. Like, and you can learn, oh, I didn't think about doing this, that, and the other. And you can also see what other options are out there. Like, there's nowhere else in the world where you can be like face to face with the people that are not only like making, but the people that are crafting who desperately want to understand. That's awesome. I think there's a lot of opportunity for musicians to realize like how connected they can be with companies and not just, the endorsement deal, but also the benefit of having those direct connections with all of the companies around. There's tons of education for artists. There's opportunities to meet other artists and network there. And it exponentially. I think also the last thing I'll say for musicians is musicians are creative. We are creative people. We thrive in those moments where this magic happens, whether it's on stage or in a studio or in a rehearsal, where like suddenly it clicks, where everyone in the band energy turns on. Everyone's heart opens up, their mind opens up, and they just are like, let's just create. And you have an idea, then someone else has an idea, and these ideas scaffold like that. Some of the great, and you've interviewed these people, like the magic that happened in the studio. It's like, oh, well, this day everything just clicked. And the everything clicked piece is because everyone involved is at the same energy level. They're open to new ideas, they're energized, they're ready to go. When you have that, you start like exponentially creating more. The thing I'll say is that is what NAMM is. People walk into NAMM and they automatically, it's like that show Severance, that they go through the elevator and they like change into like that energy. That's what everyone expects. So there's no place you're gonna be surrounded as a creative by people that are not only equally as creative, but every single one of you are like at 105% capacity, and that just sparks something that like cannot happen anywhere else in the world.
Places like NAMM are the perfect spot to be inspired to be in the same big room, be in the same room as these people.
And it is a trade show. And I say that because people come to NAMM, these, whether it's like these inspirational, like life-changing artists, the once in a lifetime in the same room moments, everyone comes to NAMM knowing that we want to give. NAMM gives back. We're all here to give back. Every single one of us wants more musicians and more people working in our industry being successful. Like we all want that. And and I've found this at NAMM personally. You run into someone, no matter who you are, small, large, whatever, everyone wants to give. It's like very open. And we do a lot to protect that. People always say, is NAMM a consumer show? It's like, well, we work very hard at making sure the right people working in the industry that are adding value are coming, because we know that like there's a tipping point where it does become a big like, hey, can I get your autograph? And it becomes like then artists start going, no, 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 no. Like we actually, that is something that we protect very well. We want it to be a safe, open place for artists where they can be themselves, where they're not expected to be, like they're at a concert or at a press event. So we do work hard to create that energy and create that safe space, and it pays off. COVID exposed a lot and accelerated. COVID didn't create a whole lot, it exposed and accelerated a whole lot. And so what happens Everyone, even musicians who aren't touring, like a lot of musicians like started talking about gear. And so there's the crossover, the Venn diagram between an artist and an influencer is actually pretty shaded. And that's fine and that's okay. And so like we've seen this energy. So after COVID coming out, of course, plot me starting right in the middle of all that, like, hey John, what are you gonna do? One thing, we'd say, what's the purpose of trade shows? A couple big gaming shows had folded. Music Mess of Frankfurt had decided not to come back. So all these eyes are like, is a trade show even valuable anymore? What's that world? And we were able to, first of all, we just did what we should do is talk to every company we could find exhibiting, traveling around, sit in their office, say, what is the value? I asked a lot of companies a very simple question. People were asking me, what's the value of the NAMM show? Is NAMM dead? So I earned Delta Diamond domestically on miles going all over the country and even some international flights and sitting with companies. And I asked them all one very simple question. Forget everything. I'm new. I'm John. If I could get everyone in the global music industry in the same room for you, what would you do with that? And it took the NAMM show, it took everything. They said, listen, pretend I could start something brand new and I'll get everyone in the global music industry that matters in one room. What do you want to do? And then that question sort of changed the narrative. And the narrative, the conversations that I'm so lucky to have is they're like, well, we definitely want to show a product. We definitely want to get brand influence. I definitely want to work with influencers. We got to fit it. And the conversation was always a web. The answer varied, but the common theme to that answer, it was a web of we need the brand to stand out. We don't want our time wasted by a bunch of people trying to buy stuff. I want to meet with my core people. And of course, practically 80%, 90% of what I heard was what the NAMM show was doing, but it was that extra 10% that unlocked it is that I get it. On the ground, the people we want to talk to, I came back and said, we need 5Xers. Every person that walks around the NAMM show needs to add 5 times value, needs to tell 5 people, an artist that's going to show the product to 5 people, an influencer is going to tell it. Like, let's go for 5Xers. Let's change our registration. Let's do a qualified attendee. Let's qualify people differently. Let's change up the badging a little bit. We don't need 150,000 people here. We need only all the 5 extras we got. So we came back, quality over quantity was key. And then this idea of like, but we need to reach millions and millions of people, but we need to make sure the people there are all adding value and not wasting time that's very expensive. Well, look at all these influencers. Let's cultivate them. Let's grab them and say, we start NAMM TV again? Do we do a media channel? I said, no, we're a platform. And so what hit us too was interesting is that this is no different than what we've always done with manufacturers. We're a platform that creates space for companies to showcase their brand in a really powerful way. And yes, they compete with each other, and we allow them to sort of, compete a little bit. That's what we did with influencers. Is, well, why don't we be a platform for influencers to showcase their brand and expose themselves to the world? And so that's where we came up with like, oh, they need a lounge. They need a dedicated space to create content. They need dedicated hardline internet and it can't just be a guy with a fuzzy mic on an iPhone on a little bevel walking around the floor anymore. Like that's not authentic content. No one wants that. We see it a lot. No disrespect to iPhone on the floor. But so that's what we said, oh, let's do a creator lounge. Let's do multiple studios. Let's do podcast studios. Let's do events and let's make sure. And that just blew up. But one of the learnings for me, because I've been like president of different nonprofit organizations and I'd served on boards of nonprofits, but I worked in for profit. Like I worked for the thrill of like watching my competitors' reaction when I did that big product launch that they didn't know about that blew them away and gave us an edge for the next 6 months until they did it to us. There's a thrill of the hunt there that I in fact miss that I just live vicariously through our companies now. But the transition too is that the job now is I'm serving, not selling. I used to sell, like we're selling, we're out there selling the dream, selling the product, but now we're serving. And that mentality is like, you have to be giving people what they want and listening. But the challenge too is not everyone's going to get what they want in the moment they want it. And you also always have to play Henry Ford and say, are they asking me for faster horses or are they asking me for true innovation? And a lot of it is the biggest challenge we have as an organization with a large global membership of companies of all sizes. A lot of what we're asked for, a lot of what we hear, there's a lot of like faster horses out there. And so we're like, I hear you. And but I'm also going to give you something that you're not envisioning yet because you're so like in the day to day. And for us, we have to listen a lot. I also think about decades, like what we do now, what's it going to look like? I mean, all we do is plant trees and reap the fruit, from 10 years before. So we really have to think carefully and not be reactive and just make sure people know we're listening, we hear you, but we also have an obligation to do right for an industry.
I've watched a lot of interviews with you, and you talk about your love for music. Who were the artists that woke you up when you were a kid, when you were younger?
Oh man, well, as a kid, I mean, I'm 42 years old, so you kind of know where I was in middle school. It was like when Green Day and Offspring and all that, oh, that was like, I mean, my first CD was Dookie. That was like the time. Like that was one of my formative, like middle school, high school. At a time when your cliques in school were basically all based around musical genres, or at least in my high school,
Hmm.
you had like the skater dudes, but you knew what that meant, what they listened to. And you could literally tell how a kid dresses by their music, which was really fascinating, which like the albums and the artists who affected you. So I was definitely in that like alternative crew. Um, so that was part of it. At the same time, I'll say like, you know, being in school band and just I think the love of playing, I really fell in love with like classical music, being exposed to like jazz and big band, through like school music, which you're playing music not necessarily that's what's being listened to, really, really accelerated. Then you get into like college. I think doing studying music formally in theory, I also really got obsessed with like classical music. And so there's like this personal thing where like, and of course I grew up with my parents listening to old country. So people ask me today, like, I'll go from Merle and Wailing to Mozart to Kendrick and all the way through again. And I mean, just as fast as it can be. Cause like it's just I have this like weird and I actually get bored. Like I can't listen to a genre of music for too long. I have to jump
Yeah.
around because but yeah, it was just kind of that I had tons of influences.
Look at AI.
It's opportunity. Like everything else, it's opportunity, and I think we're an industry of legacy brands, we're an industry of legacy innovation, and you only keep a legacy by innovating. And I think that's like legacy alone doesn't do it anymore. And I think AI, whether it's a sound or a product, and we see that. We see the legacy brands actually leading this area. But I'm a big proponent of leaning in, not only from
Yeah.
like, can it make music making smarter? Can it make business smarter? I think one thing too, just using AI in your businesses free up. We have a lot of small businesses in our industry. We have a few large and a whole lot of small in our industry, particularly. All those small businesses can now have enterprise level solutions for the monotony that builds up, whether, all the little small stuff, just the business, just move faster, be more productive, get more to creating. I think what AI does specifically is it sort of automates the automatable, first of all, like anything that could be automated, anything that can be any repetitive task that thing can say, oh yeah, these words always come in this order. We know what to do. Just do it. Get it off your plate because don't worry about your job. Get it off your plate because we as humans can create better. So where I see AI and where I always really want to see people focus is don't let the fear of the threat slow down the innovation and understand that we as humans are incredibly creative. We are incredibly creative people. And so the more we can do to allow our creative brains to create, the more value we will have, the more that artists can create. If a producer can have AI like do a quick mix and not have to spend 2 days kind of roughing it out to send back, and don't be threatened by that. That just saved you 2 days. You can create more. Like think about like, just not replacing what you've always done, but like making that stuff easier so you can do what you haven't had time to do in the future. And I think that's where it gets really, really exciting.
Share with us a few of your favorite NAMM moments.
Yeah, I got a couple. I mean, obviously the first time you see Stevie Wonder, you're just like there's like that. I mean, that's like the NAMM bingo card, right away. So like there's that. Um, there's also, I think for me, the big aha moments is like real the more I did the NAMM show,
Yeah.
learning that like if I could talk to these 4 or 5 or 7 people, if I could connect the dots, I could make something really happen. So there were NAMM shows where I like landed endorsement deals. I had a conversation on Thursday and we had a deal on Saturday. And it wasn't like, let me take your business card. I'll hit you up for a follow-up call once the dust settles. And then in March, you kind of have a call and you're chasing someone down in April and all that. It was figuring out that, like, okay, I know I have 4 days. I know all these people are here. Do you have so-and-so's number? Do you know someone who knows someone that might have their number? Hey, I got your number from so-and-so. Hit me at the bar. I'll buy you a drink. Again, you can tell, like I'm a hunter. I am a hunter through and through. And so figuring out later in NAMM shows that I could like get the deal done just by talking to the right people, there's an excitement there when you come home with a trophy for your company.
Window of opportunity for people who want to go. Have to get onto this pretty quick.
Um, yes and yes and no. Yes, get on it ASAP, but like we know we will take people the day of. I mean, we have on-site registration. It definitely is a lot. So, but we want people to take advantage of it right now. We've opened up more. So if you want to go to the NAMM show, you can go to NAMM.org. There's a registration page. You can go to dashboard.nam, create an account on NAMM.org, and you can go register. You can get, so it's as simple as that. The hotel information's there. Obviously, book your flights early. The NAMM app is now live. Over 90% of the sessions are already in there, fully booked. So you can get the NAMM app on iPhone, Android. Yep, there it is right now, and you can peruse the whole schedule. Register for the show, go ahead and put your email in the NAMM app, and it automatically pulls in your registration. And now you can create a planner of everything you want to do. You can start building out your plan, seeing everything. So now's the time to start planning. It's a 125-year anniversary. So it's one of those years where you start thinking about how did we make it 125 years? Because we are a longest running like national industry association. Like, how do you do that? First of all, because music is everywhere. Like music is non-threatening. Everyone loves music. I think there's a testament to the industry. But we look at, resiliency, and we look at how an industry can overcome anything for the love of this thing called music making. And so anytime we can inject energy into something that's already energetic as the NAMM show, we think there's, unlimited energy there. We're never worried about too much. So the theme this year is about, it's been 125 years. This is a year at a lot. We're going all out with major artists. We're going all out with talking about how long companies have been in business, celebrating innovation, and using that to drive the next 125. And so there's that in there. You'll see a big push to support the NAMM Foundation, to celebrate all the work we've done to create music makers in our time and how much more we can do. So you'll see NAMM gives back. You'll see the opportunity to give $125 or $1 or $10 to the foundation and registration. You'll see a roundup at we're working on a roundup at the cash registers when people buy stuff for like, hey, pay $1.25, add $1.25 to support 125 more years of giving back, So we're just kind of injecting this idea that like we've been here for a long time and we're going to be here for another 125. And it's all about, at the end of the day, creating more music makers in the world. And so that's what you'll feel this year. And just don't miss it.
John, take care of yourself and don't work too hard, man. I can't imagine what you have to go through doing this, but take good care of yourself.
We have an amazing team. They take good care of me. Thank you, John.
See you, man. Hope you enjoyed that. I so love hanging out with John. He was such a cool guy. And we're going to be there. I'm going to be there this year as a creator for Rock History Music. My son Chase, check him out, Chase Beat Drums on Instagram. He's a real rising star on Instagram. The link to all things NAMM and for Chase are in the description. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care.